Hello everybody, welcome to our channel, and I just had this come in just now. Frank, I just sent you Pastor Dana Coverstone's sharing of his dreams on the internet. Not sure if you've seen them, but I'd be interested in your opinion. I appreciate you asking that. Myself, as well as others I've spoken with in the past, sense that no matter what happens this fall, there's going to be major rioting, etc., etc. Looking at history and how things have happened historically, these kinds of issues have found their way into causing division and removing or trashing countries' history to take control. I remember the riots as a little kid in the 60s, growing up in Cleveland. Nothing like today though. Actually, protesters are beginning to carry heavy-duty weapons, and it's spreading. Many politicians and government officials are not seeking to quell the violence, but encouraging anarchy. Anyways, this pastor and others are saying a lot of the same things. Since the new president was elected, it's been one attack or another, and I think that the U.S. may be the epicenter of a worldwide change. Seriously thinking of getting out of this country before the election. I don't want to make any rash decisions, and if you don't mind, again, I'd appreciate any insight that you might have. Okay, thanks for writing in. So before I address this, I want to just read something to you. By the way, I've had some other people send me the same pastor's video. Let me read this to you real quick, just to get bearing on this. All right. This is a story of a birth in Bethlehem. Now Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king. Behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, right? Saying, where is he that is born of the Jews? For we have seen a star in the east and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. Where is this Christ going to be born? And they said to him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it's written by the prophet. And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Rule, a governor that rules my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently, hey, what time did the star appear? And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go, search diligently for the child, and when you find him, bring me word that I may come and worship him also. And when they had heard the king, they departed. And lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the child was. So the star took them over to the child. And when they were come into the house, they saw the child with Mary and blah, 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 being warned of God in a dream. This is where it's coming to. Being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appears to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt. And be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. Competition, right? Another governor. King of kings and Lord of lords. So, this is about two things. The dream part and the fleeing part. So Joseph had a dream and was told to flee in the dream. Now the thing about the dream is, the thing that you'll see on YouTube, lots of pastors with dreams. And when you read the comments, lots of people in the comments with dreams. Lots of people with dreams. And I had a dream a month ago. And I'm not here to tell you to listen to my dream. And I'm not even going to say what the dream was. The thing is that the dream was to Joseph. An angel spoke to Joseph in a dream. Joseph did not announce his dream to the whole town of Bethlehem and convey that message to everyone else. Okay? So this message was directed specifically to Joseph. It was Joseph that was approached in a dream, and the message was to Joseph. All right? That's how this is written. And the other thing is for them to be fleeing. Now, the thing about fleeing is that historically, that can be an option. You know, if there's trouble here, just go over here. And even in, this is in the book of Matthew, and there are other spots where we're told that, you know, to run. There is something to that. There is something to that. However, this idea that all you have to do is leave the geographical areas of North America and you're going to escape to freedom is no longer necessarily valid. What's happening is happening globally. If you think that there's no trouble abroad, there's only degrees of differences in the trouble. For example, in places like Chile, I don't know if you've seen our video that we made several videos back, maybe a month ago, about the woman that is living in Chile. They went through the devastation in Chile where they had perfectly nice middle-class neighborhoods that are now completely destroyed, and just whole areas and cities nationwide that are impoverished, with people on the street that were previously middle class or lower middle class or working people with families and houses and apartments that now no longer have any of that. That's Chile. In Ecuador, similar things in other parts of South and Central America. Ecuador has its own conflicts that there's protests and going on, and just governments responding in such a way that it just all it does is just promote more chaos. Okay, so Europe has its own hot spots of chaos. You've got places like Spain, and I don't really, I don't enjoy sitting here outlining all the negatives in the world. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit here and repeat all that. I'm somebody that wants to focus on, I want to know that, but I want to know this other side. And that's what this person wants to know that's writing in. Unfortunately, there's not an easy answer to that. And there's no, should I leave the States, yes or no answer. The thing about the dream is that I lived in the South for 20 years. I've been around ministers, preachers, evangelists, pretty much all of my adult life. That I personally have been an evangelist myself, a non-denominational, independent evangelist for decades. And so I've rubbed shoulders or been friends with people like this and been around them for a long time. And I can tell you that there's a certain personality called charismatic, is what they call charismatic, meaning that you're led to follow someone because of their personality. And what we should be focusing on is the wisdom of the ancient scriptures in the Bible, and asking for guidance based on that, not personalities and people that, even though they may be perfectly good people and nice people, we have to be careful not to get distracted, because there are so many people with dreams. Now here's the thing, there's already violence going on in the States, and there's already violence going in Latin America in many places. And there's violence going on in Asia, and there's hot spots of violence and that kind of thing. And there's different degrees and forms of violence. Like, for example, just as Herod wanted to kill all the children, there are many Herods here and there throughout the world. Like, for example, in Spain, saying everyone must wear a mask and then sending out swarms of bees to fine people hundreds or thousands of euros if they're not wearing it. That is a form of genocide, and it's a form of violence. It is violence. So there isn't only one way to perceive violence. And so I'm saying that violence is already present in the world, and it's already increasing exponentially in the world. It's increasing. It's like you have two kinds of cells in your body. You've got the healthy, good cells, and what they do is they promote good function. They build fresh cells so that you can be alive and live and be healthy. Then you have bad cells. These would be cancer cells, and they don't promote anything. They promote cancer cells, and they destroy good cells. And so you've got this battle going on between good cells and bad cells. And our job is to facilitate good cells to exponentially grow and outnumber the bad cells so we can keep them in check. And that's what's happening in the world. You've got the cancer cells and the good cells. And what our job is, for those of us that are called and see the light, is to increase the good cells and facilitate and help the good cells and to spread good for the whole body in the world, right? So if we just run and hide, I'm not saying there's not a time to run and hide, there is a time to run and hide, but in spots where outside of these hot spots where you have these just these big huge flare-ups going on. And I'm not telling you to stay or leave, okay? I'm just saying that it's not the same in every country. It's not necessarily the closer you are to where there's lots of people, the more you're going to have a lot more chaos and conflict. When there's a lot of these cancer cells, you're going to have a lot more of that battle going on between the cancer cells trying to take over and destroy the body, and the good cells just trying to survive and actually prosper and, you know, heal the body. So what we have is a situation where I'm seeing a lot of expats, or would-be expats rather, that are repeating the old. Anytime there's a big change going on, there's this deer caught in the headlights, or just people still kind of being back in the old frame. You know, you're still back in the old frame when you're repeating what was being said about moving abroad or living in particular countries that is not up to date. I'll give you an example, okay? When this big pandemic scare broke out and not much was known about it, and all of these scary formulas were being promoted by certain cells that were in charge of promoting negativity and fear-mongering. So during that time, all these countries were starting to panic and lock down. And there were a couple of countries that were like, huh, what? Nah, we don't have any problem. Don't know what you're talking about. And some of these places, it was Japan. Japan has, if you don't know this, we study just about all of the countries in the world. And we just know that Japan has one of the highest longevities in the world. People just naturally live a lifestyle that is conducive to better health and longer life. And their average is over 80 years old, whereas in other countries it can be 60s or even 70. So they clearly have at least a dozen years, and that's just an average. So I mean, that means many people live well beyond that. They may have a lot of centenarians. And there are spots in Ecuador where there's centenarians. So the point being that they don't have a culture of sickness like you have in some of these Western countries, where for one reason or another, we won't go into detail, although we easily could cover it in a whole other separate video, because we are practicing naturalists and therefore very much in tune and in touch with personal health, as you know if you've been watching our videos for any length of time. And it's what helped us to immediately see right through the fear-mongering, right? So, but going beyond that, Japan was like, huh, we don't know what you're talking about. Everybody here is healthy except for maybe some of the very oldest people. They did the right thing. They took care of their older people, and they didn't persecute everybody else that was healthy. But what happened? Well, there's a couple different things that happen, and we've been talking about it in our past videos, is that when you have all these cancer cells trying to take over, and you have some of these holdouts, some of these good cells, the good cells are going to get attacked. And that's what happened to places like Sweden and Japan. They start getting attacked and demonized. The other thing that happens is, thanks to the internet and thanks to just the information society that we live in, and you can see this in a lot of the other bloggers and a lot of the other travel groups, and everybody's talking about where they can go. So like if 90% of the world is locking down over something that it's been already discovered 2 or 3 months ago that there's really no reason to be locked down, there's just a reason to take care of your elderly, the people that are high risk. But anyway, what happens is that people start funneling. And so what it's doing is same thing as we've talked about before about RAM magazines and their circuit, and how everybody, you know, all these articles and videos have got the same eyeballs on them. Well, the same thing is happening during a lockdown and during a fear-mongering pandemic, global pandemic fear-mongering. You know, people say, well, yeah, no, this is locked down. Then, oh, hey, look, this 5 countries, this half a dozen countries over here, you can travel here. And so the same thing is happening as you see that's happening in other spheres, in the Ram sphere. And so all these people all of a sudden start going there. And then you've got these other countries that have all these cancer cells that are going, wait a minute, we can't have this. People aren't coming here. Well, we're not, you know what? If you guys have been over to these countries, we're not going to allow you to come to our country. And so all these barriers start getting put up, and it's just like demonizing countries for not falling in line on the global agenda for any variety of different reasons that we won't go into in this video that could easily take up 2 or 3 other videos. The bottom line is that they get admonished, they get persecuted, they get demonized. And you know what happens? Guess what it did? Japan isn't letting anybody in now. So how can we say to somebody that writes in, go here, or go there, or leave, or don't leave? How can we say any of those things when none of those things are those are just superficial and are bound to change within the context of what's happening in the world right now? So the thing to keep in mind is that trouble is not new, and the most important thing about when trouble comes is to get back to what the words of wisdom say, and that is get together with like-minded people. Stop ignoring the fact that you are not an island. And so, but I'm not telling people what to do. If you think all you have to do is get on a plane, if you think it would be really that easy, just that easy with a global pandemic, with everything we just discussed, everything that's going on, and all you got to do is get on a plane and you're going to go to safety. Well, you may feel better for a little while, but soon enough you will start noticing that there are different levels of violence going on in different parts of the world. So it's like this: when the storms come and the winds blow and all that business, what kind of a house would you be wanting to be living in? A house built on a rock or a house built on sand? So that's the bottom line. Let's ask ourselves, how can I build my house on the rock? And let's not get distracted, as good as these people may be and as nice as they may be, by people's dreams, because it's no revelation that there's violence going on and that it's going to increase this fall. That is not anything that needs to come by way of dreams. It's just observation. All right? So peace be with you. Thanks for being on our channel. Thanks for watching the video, and have a nice day.